What's up, everybody? Fred Ricciani of TSC News here to give you guys my thoughts on the Conor McGregor situation. If you guys don't know, current UFC featherweight champion Conor McGregor is no longer headlining UFC 200. In fact, according to his official Twitter account, straight from the notorious one himself, he is retired. Yes. At age, 26, 27? This dude's hanging up the gloves? Really? Well, apparently it's true because his trainer John Kavanagh confirmed it. His teammate Gunnar Nelson on Facebook's team to confirm it. The UFC pretty much confirmed he's out of UFC 200. I don't believe Dana White used the word retired when he talked to ESPN and other media outlets, but he claims that Conor McGregor was pulled because he did not show up to a press conference. Conor McGregor just a couple days ago was training in Iceland, and apparently he told Dana, I ain't showing up to the press conference, so he pulled Conor McGregor from UFC 200. Hang on a second here. You're pulling your biggest draw in the history of your promotion over missing a press conference? Okay, I'm sorry. I know Dana's trying to save face here. I know Lorenzo's trying to save face here. But the BS meter is at about 11 out of 10 right here in our department. But the question is now, what the hell is going to happen? What the hell's the deal? What in God's name is going on? This doesn't make any sense. Why would Conor McGregor retire before the biggest payday of his career? And if you guys know anything about Conor McGregor, the brother loves his money. He loves to spend his money. He loves to break records. He's not just here to take part, he's here to take over. Well, I have a few theories, and a lot of people do, and it's been circulating online that he wanted around, say, $10 million for the fight. Some people may say, that's ridiculous. No UFC fighter's got $10 million. Yeah. Well, guess what? If you do 1.5 million buys, or even 1.4, well, let's just say in the range of 1.4 to 1.7 million buys, that is rarefied air reserved for the likes of, only really two people, maybe three. Conor McGregor, Brock Lesnar, Ronda Rousey in the history of the promotion. I guess GSP, because he was on that UFC 100 card. That was the biggest card of all time for the UFC. But, I mean, it's pretty rarefied air in mixed martial arts. Now, you look at Floyd Mayweather, and granted, there is more money because, apparently, fighters don't get even distribution there. Not that they get even distribution in the UFC, depending on an event and everything. But, you look at Floyd Mayweather, the dude's making $40-50 million per fight. Probably, more than that, when he was active. More than that. I mean, he made insane money in the Pacquiao fight. But I'm saying, even when he really started to become a draw, let's say, $40-50 million, whatever. And then it just kept progressively growing and growing from there as the Money Team brand got bigger. Conor McGregor's still in the prime of his career. He is undoubtedly, besides Ronda Rousey, the top draw in the UFC. And you can make the strong argument he is the top draw in the UFC from a worldwide perspective. I mean, yeah, Ronda draws a different audience. She draws women and parents and a bunch of other people that don't normally watch the UFC. But, man, Conor McGregor's put a whole country on his back. So you can flip a coin and figure out who's the bigger draw. I mean, both are gigantic stars. Ronda currently inactive, although it's rumored she's gonna come back eventually. We'll see. And Conor McGregor, he's been pretty active these last couple of years. So if the guy wants more money, I mean, honestly, some people may say he's greedy, he's selfish, he's whatever. He should just accept what it is. At the end of the day, man, these fighters have such little leverage. They really do. And I got nothing personal against Dana White or Lorenzo Fertitta. Okay, or Bellator or any of these other promotions, but MMA, man, these fighters, I mean, they really have little leverage. You can kind of compare them to pro wrestlers, but even pro wrestlers make more money in some ways. I mean, depending on where you're at. I mean, WWE really is the only game in town, whereas, in MMA, you have Bellator, you have UFC, you have one championships in Asia. I mean, at least you have a couple promotions you can kind of have pit against each other and bid for your services. That's not really the case in pro wrestling anymore for the most part. But, yeah, I mean, fighters have such a little leverage, and without sponsorship money, because the Reebok deal kind of screwed them over. I mean, actually not kind of. It definitely screwed them over. It's tough for these guys to make real money. You could be Conor McGregor and make a lot of money, or John Jones, or, GSP, or Anderson Silva, one of these guys. But still, you get to a point where, and people have complained about other football players and other athletes doing this. You get to the point where you kind of figure, what you're worth. And even on paper, when you look at the number and say $5 million, okay, that's a crap ton of money. That's probably more money than Conor McGregor's ever seen. Okay, I mean, maybe he pulled that his last fight, or fight before that, or both. But, compared to a guy who used to be a plumber in Ireland, I mean, that's a hell of a lot of money, compared to where he's come from. But, you get to a point where if you want to be a businessman in this game, you don't just want to be a fighter, you want to be a businessman. I mean, you look at economics. I mean, it's justifiable to pay Conor McGregor $10 million. It's justifiable to pay him $15 million, maybe $20 million. Hell, maybe more, given the economic impact his fight's going to have on that city. Well, would have had on that city of Las Vegas and the new T-Mobile Arena. So now the question is, if it's not the money, what is it? Well, Conor McGregor did coach one of his teammates who, I think Joan Carvalho, I think it was his name, or Carvalho, who passed away just a couple weeks ago in Ireland. And granted, Conor McGregor stayed training. He did stay training after that horrific tragedy, which got headlines all over Ireland. But, maybe he looked at that whole thing and was like, you know what? I love MMA. I love the money, but you know what? This ain't worth it. Or maybe it was a combination of, you know what? I love MMA, but you know what? I might as well get as much money as possible because God forbid that could be my last fight. That could be my last day on earth. So, I mean, it's a complicated situation. Maybe he just wanted to retire for health. But for whatever reason, I do not get that feeling. I get the feeling that the guy wants more money. He wants leverage. And he got something he didn't want. And I think what he wanted was co-promotion. I think what he wanted was McGregor Promotions and Zuffa LLC co-promoting a fight in Croke Park in Ireland. And instead, and I'm sorry, the tragic death of his teammate, his name is Joe Carvalho. So my apologies for that. I may have butchered the first name, but yeah, my apologies and my deepest condolences to Conor McGregor's team. Maybe he's retiring for health reasons. Maybe he just wants more money. Maybe it's a combination of all the above. Maybe he's sick of this. Maybe, just maybe, and this would be crazy, and I would find it hard to believe that this would happen. Maybe he found a loophole in his contract that the UFC perhaps breached or something, right? And he thinks he could get out of his contract, and he feels that certain promises were made that weren't kept, and maybe they're going to go into legal action, which, given the amount of money Zuffa has, would probably favor Zuffa, not Conor. And, well, we've seen what happened with Randy Couture and a few other guys that went against the UFC. The good news is there's been precedent set in the sense that they've come back, and they've still made a lot of money. A guy like Randy Couture, while he's at odds with UFC now that he's retired, he still ended up coming back, still ended up making a ton of money for the UFC for himself, and retired and went into the UFC Hall of Fame before he had a falling out with Dana White. So we'll see what happens. We'll see, but it's a huge story. In the short term, this absolutely hurts the UFC. Conor McGregor, while he lost to Nate Diaz, he only lost once in the UFC. He still has leverage. And if you want something, you know what? You might as well try to get it while you still have leverage. Would have meant more if he hadn't lost, but he's still got leverage. He's the main guy here. The guys that are screwed right now, in the immediate future, everybody on UFC 200, because that went from a 1.5 million buy show, maybe more, to perhaps a 500,000 or 600,000 buy show, if they're lucky. And if you're getting pay-per-view points, that's a significant amount of money you're losing. Nate Diaz, man, he loses out on this one. And I feel really bad for this guy because this was a huge money fight for him. He already made apparently $3 million in the previous Conor McGregor fight. He would have probably made around the same, if not more, for this rematch. And the thing is, too, it's a winnable match. He beat Conor before on 9 days' notice. He was on vacation sipping pina coladas. And he still beat Conor McGregor. So, a trained, in shape Nate Diaz against Conor McGregor at 170 of all weights? yeah, I would have favored Nate Diaz too. But instead now, he gets a title shot, which on paper, if you're looking at it from a sports perspective, should be great. He should be celebrating. He's going to get a title shot. But guess what? He's going to get less money. He's going up against maybe Robbie Lawler, who definitely has the advantage at 170. Who, God bless Robbie Lawler, a spectacular fighter. He's going to make a lot of money, but he's not the type of guy that's going to promote a fight like Conor McGregor. He's not even in the same universe of stars as Conor McGregor. Great fighter, one of my all-time favorites to watch, but I'm just talking about in terms of selling a fight. Rafael dos Anjos, God bless the guy. He's also too a great fighter. Okay, and then maybe you could talk a little bit of trash, but he's already beaten Nate Diaz. He's beaten him once, and I think he beat him again. So the losers in this one are Nate Diaz. In the immediate future, it's the UFC because he is their biggest star. And if GSP decides not to come back because of whatever's holding him back, whether it be the Reebok deal or just being uncertain about his health or whatever, and if Ronda decides not to come back, and if they're stupid, and I'm sorry, I don't mean to criticize Joe Silva, but or Sean Shelby or whoever the hell his idea. Actually, well, they're just booking what they're told. But I mean, whoever's idea was it to book that fight between Miesha Tate and Amanda Nunes. Look, UFC has the final say at the end of the day. My God, if Miesha Tate loses that fight, okay, just think about this. If Miesha Tate loses to Amanda Nunes on top of Ronda perhaps not coming back, on top of, say, McGregor being out for the foreseeable future, on top of Nate Diaz, who had a star-making performance, perhaps losing to RDA or Robbie Lawler, man, that would absolutely suck. On top of that, if Anderson Silva, whatever little drawing power he has left, if that guy ended up freaking getting beat by Uriah Hall of all people, and I'm still not sure why they booked that fight. I guess they think it's a winnable fight for Silva, whatever. Man, UFC still got that TV money. UFC still made a lot of money with some of these pay-per-views and McGregor and Rousey from a few months back, but second half of the year might not look so good. And I don't think this is going to happen, but if John Jones loses to Ovince St. Preux, to OSP, hot damn, would that be some bad luck. But we'll see. Who knows? Maybe they'll resolve their issues. Maybe they'll give this guy some money. They'll give him $10 million as kind of a consolation prize for not booking him in Croke Park, for not giving him co-promotion, which they've never done. They had a chance to do it with M1 Global, and they could have done a huge fight with Fedor and Brock Lesnar, which at the time would have undoubtedly been the biggest fight of all time in UFC history, but they chose not to, and hey, they ended up living. They were doing all right, but at the same time, they were in a hot period. They were in a boom period. They're in kind of a hot period right now. Really, thanks to two people that are given that perception and have helped them get that success, and that's Conor and Ronda. Without them, not saying the UFC's going downhill, but I don't think as many people are going to be buying those pay-per-views. But folks, I want to hear from you. What do you think about this Conor McGregor situation? Do you expect to see him back in the octagon before the end of the year? What do you think is the play here? What is he trying to do? Do you think he just wants to retire and relax and count his money and get married? Or you think this is a play for something a lot bigger? Let me know. Leave a comment below. Tweet us. Facebook us. Do what you got to do. If you enjoyed this update, please like, share. Take care. And until next time, everybody, as always, enjoy the fights. That awkward moment when CM Punk might have to save UFC 200. Good God.